You ever see one of those startups with millions of users, tons of buzz, and then all of a sudden, they just collapse? It happens all the time, and it's usually because they're chasing growth while totally ignoring the real health of their business. So today, we're going to peel back the curtain, move past those flashy surface-level numbers, and get to what truly matters: unit economics. This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. In today's world, investors aren't just wowed by download numbers or website traffic anymore. They want to know if your business model actually works. See, chasing growth that loses you money on every single new customer, well, that's not a strategy. It's just a really fast way to burn through cash.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem with so-called vanity metrics. You know, those big, impressive numbers like daily active users that look fantastic in a slideshow. But they can be so misleading. Because if you're losing money on every single transaction, getting more customers just means you lose money faster.
This is where unit economics comes in and brings some beautiful, stunning clarity. It cuts through all the noise by focusing on one simple but incredibly powerful question. Can you make a profit on a single customer? Instead of looking at the giant mess of total revenue versus total costs, we're zooming way in, down to the per unit level. Because let's be real, if you can't make money on one customer, there's no way you're going to make money on a million of them.
Okay, so answering that big question really means looking at two key metrics. First up, we have to look at the investment. How much does it actually cost you to get a new customer to walk through your digital front door? This is what we call the customer acquisition cost, or CAC for short.
So what goes into your CAC? Well, pretty much everything you spend to turn a stranger into a paying customer. We're talking about all your ad spend, right? The salaries and commissions for your sales team, the money you spend on marketing software, the whole shebang. It's the total investment you make to win over that one customer.
I love this slide because it basically simplifies a whole business model down to its two core parts. On one side, you have your CAC, that's the investment, the money going out. But every investment needs a return, right? And that's the other side of the coin, the lifetime value, or LTV. This is the total profit you expect to get from that customer over their entire relationship with you.
Now, the cool part is that calculating your CAC isn't some kind of rocket science. It's actually pretty straightforward. All you do is add up your total sales and marketing costs over a certain amount of time, say a quarter or a whole year, and then you just divide that by the number of new customers you got in that same period. For instance, let's just throw some numbers at it. Let's say you spent $250,000 on all your sales and marketing last year, and all that effort brought you 1,000 brand new customers. You just do the simple math. $250,000 divided by 1,000 gives you a CAC of $250. It costs you, on average, $250 to get each one of those customers.
So, the big question, is a $250 CAC good or bad? Well, the answer is, it completely depends on your industry. This chart shows just how wild the differences can be. What's considered a really high cost for, say, an e-commerce shop might be perfectly normal or even cheap for a big software company. Context here is absolutely everything.
All right, so we've got the investment side covered. Now let's flip over to the other side of the equation, the return. Once you've paid to get that customer, how much are they actually worth to your business over the long haul? This is their customer lifetime value, or LTV.
Now, here's a really critical point about LTV that a lot of people get wrong. It is not just the total revenue a customer brings in. For a real, honest picture, you have to calculate LTV based on your gross margin. That means you take the revenue, and then you subtract the direct costs of actually providing your product or service. That number tells you the actual profit each customer is giving you.
And this is the moment of truth. When you take the value of your customer, the LTV, and you compare it to the cost of getting them, the CAC, you get the LTV to CAC ratio. This single number tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the health, the efficiency, and, most importantly, the scalability of your business.
This visual just lays it out perfectly. That first dip you see, that's your CAC. That's the money you spend right at the beginning. But then over time, as the customer keeps paying you, the value they generate, their LTV, starts to climb up and up. The goal is simple. That value line has to cross over the cost line. And that point where it crosses, that's your payback period. That's when the customer officially becomes profitable.
So what's a good ratio to shoot for? Well, if you're at 1-to-1, you're in the danger zone. You're basically spending $1 just to make $1 back, and that's probably a losing game. A 3-to-1 ratio, that's widely seen as the gold standard for a healthy, scalable business.
Now, what if you were at 5 to 1 or even higher? That's awesome, right? Well, yes, but it could actually be a sign you're being a little too conservative. You might be missing out on growth by not investing a bit more in your marketing.
Okay, so knowing your ratio is one thing, but improving it is the real challenge. So let's talk strategy. How can you actively start building a more profitable, more sustainable business by improving your unit economics?
When you get right down to it, you really only have two big levers you can pull. You can work to lower your CAC by optimizing your marketing channels and cutting out the wasteful spending, or you can focus on increasing your LTV. That means going after higher value customers and, this is a big one, focusing on retention. Because honestly, it's almost always way cheaper to keep a happy customer than it is to go out and find a brand new one.
So let's just bring it all back home to that one question that cuts through all the noise. Before you start chasing huge scale or another round of funding, just forget the vanity metrics for a minute. Look at your business at its most basic level and ask, on a single customer basis, are we actually building a profitable engine for growth? Answering that question, well, that's the true power of understanding unit economics.